Is there a reason you're not wearing socks with your shoes?
Continue.
Okay, I don't know what's worse, you not wearing socks with your shoes or you wearing white socks with shoes.
Good afternoon.
Okay, you go. You leave.
Good afternoon. Welcome back to the roof.
To the roof.
On this fine Wednesday. This is coming to you on a Thursday.
Yeah.
We got a new hot topic and we're ready to roll.
Yeah, we've been. I feel I start this off every single time, but in the same time, all that we hear from a lot of realtors, media, various outlet channels, all that's kind of spoken about is how the market has gone down. It's gone through a correction. Prices have changed. And now first-time home buyers are coming into market. First-time home buyers now getting this incentive. West Van is dying. Luxury real estate is dead. And so you get everything from here to here. From here to here, but you don't get any kind of talk in the middle. There's not really that much talk on those people who, maybe bought a few years ago, maybe a condo, and they're now looking at starting a family. They're looking at like community, they're looking at school catchment areas, space, room to grow as a family. We never kind of talk about what that space looks like, and
that's true. We kind of always talk about the entry and the maximum.
Yeah,
but
so there's
never the center.
And there's a ton of people here in Vancouver who, especially downtown, I think a lot of people tend to buy downtown and in a closer vicinity first into like a condo or possibly a townhouse, something like that. But then they naturally, as life progression grows and nature is but a flower and it blooms, and so they start to grow as a family, need more space, and then they go through that journey to essentially maybe buy their first house. So it's those second, possibly third timers that we're kind of talking about today.
Yes.
Particularly with the detached market as well. So detached, we're covering Vancouver West Side and Vancouver East Side. So the figures could be different for if you're looking like West Van or North Van, but that's kind of our territory area as well. And we're actually in this one, we're actually putting Burnaby North in there as well.
Burnaby, we've found a lot of people talking, at least the people that we've been dealing with, talking a lot more about it lately, based on obviously pricing and just proximity just east of Vancouver, the first suburb there. So
well, a lot of people, I think, as well, especially from our clients that we've been finding, is those people who do want to upgrade and get something of a larger size, they've been kind of more inclined to go for something predominantly a bit higher end, but a little bit further out. So we've seen quite an interest there as well.
You just cut me off to say the exact same thing I was about to say.
That sounds better when I do it.
Okay.
It's so easy to say, I was about to say that.
So, we'll start back this side. So today, again, as Ben just loosely clarified.
Forget my name.
We are discussing the detached housing market. We haven't talked too much about it lately. You've heard a lot about it, like we said, in the news, but not like a lot of hammered down information, specifically the entry point of the detached. Most of the media climbs onto the luxury point of the detached, so we wanted to talk about people that we're a lot more relative to in our business, which is, again, those second, third time buyers, which are first time detached buyers now. Yep. So we wanted to go through some stats, what that actually looks like, and what the the gap has been from peak of market. We're actually going to use 2016 today. As usual, all statistics from the Real Estate Board of Greater Vancouver between 2016 and today, and what those markets have done.
I think 2016 is more accurate as well, because I think especially with the housing market kind of got hit first when it came to the correction, if you will, and condos kind of followed suit. So we've gone for the earlier side of things. But anyway, as of July 2019, the home price index for detached homes on Vancouver's west side is 2,895,000.
And that's the average.
That's the average. That's still a lot of money, let's not lie. That's still a lot of money. But when you look at that versus 2016, it took quite a bit of a dip. What kind of dip did it take, Jane?
That took the biggest dip in everything we're discussing today, as one can imagine. And it's down 19.2% on average. So 2,895 is the average price. Pull off the extremes on either side, and that's in the middle. And that range, again, that market is down just slightly under 20% since 2016.
Yeah, and don't forget, guys, you'll probably maybe read this and think, or read, listen, watch, and you'll think, oh, 20%, but condos went down 20%. Don't forget, 20% off of 3 million is far more than 20% off of 600,000. I mean, at that point, we're talking like multiple hundreds of thousands here. So that went down the highest out of everything. So Vancouver on the east side, what was the HPI for that one?
Average is 1.352 million.
Okay.
And again, stripping away the extremes on either side, that's your average price.
That was the least, hey?
East side. The what?
That went down the least, hey, out of all the 3 areas we're discussing today?
Yeah. What percentage did that go down?
I think it was 11.4? No.
11.2 or 11.4?
11.2.
11.4.
11.4.
You're right.
Went down 11.4%. And then
since 2016 on average.
Yeah. And the next one, interesting enough, is Burnaby North, which, what's the HPI for that one?
Just under exactly 1,373.
Okay.
1.3 million, 730,000.
Okay, so that went down 14.4%.
Yeah.
Over the last 3 years, which is interesting because you're technically out of Vancouver, but the pricing is very similar to Vancouver. So that kind of reflects what we've been saying, where people are happy to move that little bit further out, get a particularly high end or a higher end property. I mean, especially in North Burnaby, you get some beautiful views of
higher end
downtown
and
North Shore.
or in a lot of cases just more square footage.
Yeah.
The typical kind of, I think for that up and coming family, the square footage count is a bit more important from my experience than we'll say the caliber, but you are getting more. You can get more of both of those.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting option. Interesting though as well that the east side dropped less than Burnaby. Before we looked into these numbers, I would have thought Burnaby would have been different than that.
Yeah. No, definitely. It's not until you actually sit down and kind of analyze that you see.
And of course, as we go out, we're not going to talk about the specifics of leaving Burnaby and going further east or southeast into the valley, but those numbers obviously have drastically changed.
Yeah, and if you just a quick note on that one, if you are working with a bit of a lower budget or you're fine being a bit further out of the city, you can see those numbers decrease even more the further out you go, but we're not going to waste too much time on it. But interestingly enough, the inventory levels are still pretty high for the areas in which we're discussing here in Vancouver and North Burnaby. So as well as the combined 15% decrease, it's actually 15% as well when you add it up, an average of 15% decrease, you've also got a lot more to choose from as well. So essentially, again, your inventory is higher, you're being offered at 15% less. So almost, if you were looking for a property 3 years ago and you happen to look at some houses, if you go by the rule of thumb, those same properties could be less than what you actually saw them for in 2016.
Yeah, for sure. I think the most interesting thing about all this is that the average pricing in East Vancouver and Burnaby North is the same.
Yeah, which is, well, it's
close. In the 1.3s.
Yeah.
So again, you can get stuff lower than that, you can get stuff higher, but you've got the same price range options in both East Vancouver and Burnaby.
Yeah. And if you're looking for a future perspective as well, which I would imagine somebody going to that type of property is, they're thinking about more of the long term. You look at the 10-year increase on all of these areas, and over the last 10 years, prices went up a minimum of 93%. It was actually 93% in Burnaby, North Burnaby, and then it was over 100% Vancouver West Side, Vancouver East Side.
Yeah.
So it's a wonderful investment, for a long-term investment, especially if you're starting to think about equity and kids and family and getting all your ducks in a row, as they say.
Yeah, for sure. And that market had just from that point obviously gone up. Mm-hmm. And now we're hitting a soft point. I know we're going to get, and we hear a lot about people who think this is the end of the world. We obviously don't think it is. It's a cycle. It's a market like anything else. But again, focusing on this as you've got from 11 to 20% more leverage, more buying power today than you did let's say in 2016.
Yeah, and on top of that, we're just talking about the home price index. That's not like the lowest priced properties at all. I mean, in East Van right now, I think the lowest we found that's actually a livable detached house was 948,800.
Yeah, so under $1 million.
So under $1 million, 948,800, an actual livable property as well. So it's not a tear down job.
Just under 2,000 square feet. So you're looking at more square footage in a house for under $1 million than, I mean, you have options in Vancouver, in downtown, for example, if you're looking at the condo side of things. But for under $1 million to get land, to get a house, it's just under 2,000 feet. It's a pretty enticing option.
Yeah,
if you want to make that jump up.
Yeah, it was really nice. And then in Burnaby as well, you can purchase property for in the late 800s, or mid to late 800s. Again, livable property. And then on the west side, you can, although the average is the 2.8 figure, you can find property in that 1.6 million range, and it's definitely livable. It's obviously it's not going to be a brand new build like a lot of the ones you see along the west side, but it's still definitely livable. It's not going to be a tear down job, and it's in the 1.6 range.
Yeah, so I think a lot of people, I think what's most important is if people are, and we're starting to have this conversation with people obviously that are buying up, a lot of people think the traditional steps, condo, either bigger condo or townhouse, then the jump is typically townhouse to house. At least what we're seeing and what people kind of map out in their heads. I think people really need to focus now, or should focus now on a detached opportunity, because a substantially newer townhouse, I mean, depending where you're going, you can get it for less than this, obviously, but if you're going for a higher end, newer townhouse, you're pretty on close,
par, if not more.
Pretty close to the range.
Oh,
you can get into obviously an older house, but obviously we're not going to go through the benefits of owning a house to condo or vice versa, but typically people still have that end result idea in their head of a detached house, and it may be available earlier than they think after what we've just gone through.
Yeah, well, I mean, the gap was originally this big, and now with the correction, it's definitely made it this big, so it's much easier to do. So I think that wraps us up for the week.
I think that's pretty covered.
Pretty much it. Guys, thank you for the follows, thank you for the reviews, thank you for all the comments. We really enjoy engaging with all of you, so please, if you do have any comments, please drop them in the comment section below. We will do our best to respond to them as quick as possible. As always, drop us a follow on social media, and we will see you next week.
Thanks for your time. Bye.